There are conversations that change everything. Not the long, drawn-out meetings in conference rooms. Not the formal sit-downs with agents and executives and lawyers shuffling papers across polished tables. Not the press conferences where carefully prepared words are delivered into microphones for public consumption. The conversations that change everything are shorter than that. Simpler than that. They happen in dugouts and locker rooms and training facilities, between people who trust each other enough to say what they actually mean. And sometimes, just sometimes, one single word inside one of those conversations is enough to shift the entire trajectory of a season. Freddie Freeman knows this better than almost anyone right now. Because at some point during the preparation for this season, something happened inside the Dodgers organization that Freeman did not expect. Something that, by his own testimony, changed the way he approached everything that followed. Manager Dave Roberts consulted Shohei Ohtani. Not about pitching strategy. Not about lineup construction. Not about the 100 tactical decisions that fill a manager's days during spring training. He consulted Ohtani about Freeman. About what Freeman needed. About how to help one of the greatest hitters in baseball history unlock something that had perhaps been sitting just beneath the surface, waiting for the right word to bring it forward. And Freeman, a man who has played over 1,500 major league games, who has won a World Series, who has been one of the most consistent and respected hitters in baseball for over a decade, sat with that and said something that stopped everyone who heard it. I never thought Roberts would consult with Shohei. To understand the weight of Freeman's testimony, you first need to understand the dynamic inside the Los Angeles Dodgers clubhouse. The Dodgers are not an ordinary baseball team. They are, by almost every measure, the most constructed, most analytically sophisticated, most deliberately assembled roster in professional baseball. Every decision, from roster construction to bullpen usage to batting order sequencing, is layered with data, intention, and strategic depth. Dave Roberts has managed this team for years. He has navigated World Series runs, injury crises, personality dynamics, and the relentless pressure of operating in the largest baseball market in America. He is not a manager who makes impulsive decisions. He is not a manager who consults people without purpose. So when Roberts went to Ohtani, not to talk about Ohtani's own preparation, but to talk about Freeman's, it meant something. It meant that Roberts had identified something. Had seen something in the intersection of Ohtani's perspective and Freeman's situation that suggested a conversation was worth having. That the insight Ohtani carried, about preparation, about the mental approach to a long season, about what separates good from great at the highest level, was directly applicable to what Freeman was navigating. Freeman testified that when he found out Roberts had done this, his first reaction was genuine surprise. I never thought Roberts would consult with Shohei. Not because he doubted Ohtani's intelligence or his baseball IQ. Freeman has been in the same clubhouse. He knows exactly what Ohtani is. He has seen up close what kind of mind operates behind those quiet eyes and that calm demeanor. The surprise was about something else entirely. It was the surprise of realizing that the standard of consultation inside the Dodgers organization had shifted. That Ohtani, in his second year with the team, still relatively new to the Dodgers culture, had already become someone whose perspective was being sought not just on his own performance, but on the performance of the people around him. That is not a normal thing. Even for extraordinary players. So what did Ohtani say? According to Freeman's testimony, it was not a lengthy analysis. It was not a detailed breakdown of swing mechanics or approach adjustments or data-driven recommendations about pitch recognition. It was one word. One word that Freeman turned over in his mind. One word that, the more he sat with it, the more it reframed everything about how he was thinking about the season ahead. The word was, present. Be present. Not in the abstract, motivational poster sense that the word is sometimes used. Not as a vague encouragement to stay focused or stay positive. But in the specific, practical, deeply intentional sense that Ohtani lives by every single day. Be present in this at-bat. Not the last one. Not the next one. This one. Be present in this practice session. Not yesterday's results. Not tomorrow's game. This session, right now, in front of you. Be present with your body today. Not what it was capable of last season. Not what you are hoping it will do in October. What it is telling you right now, today, in this moment. Freeman has spoken about how, in the middle stages of a long career, the mind can sometimes drift toward the weight of accumulated experience. The thousands of at-bats create a kind of mental library that is simultaneously an asset and a trap. The asset is pattern recognition, the ability to read situations instantly from experience. The trap is assumption, the tendency to approach new situations through the filter of old ones rather than experiencing them freshly. Ohtani's one word cut straight through that trap. Be present. Here is what makes this story remarkable. Not just that Ohtani said it, but that Freeman heard it differently coming from him. Freeman has had coaches his entire career. He has worked with some of the most respected hitting instructors in baseball. He has heard thousands of pieces of advice, absorbed countless hours of instruction, and built a career that stands as one of the finest in his generation through relentless work and genuine intelligence about his craft. He has almost certainly heard variations of be present before. But something about hearing it from Ohtani, or hearing that Ohtani had said it specifically about him, specifically in response to Robert's asking, landed differently. Because Ohtani does not speak casually about these things. Everyone inside the Dodgers organization understands this. When Ohtani offers an observation, it is not a throwaway comment. It has been considered. It reflects something he has actually lived, actually tested, actually built his entire approach around. Ohtani's presence at the plate is legendary among people who study hitting. His ability to treat each at-bat as a completely isolated event, uncontaminated by the frustration of a previous strikeout or the confidence of a previous home run, is something that opposing pitchers have spoken about with a mixture of admiration and dread. He does not carry baggage from one at-bat to the next. He does not let a bad inning poison a good one. He arrives at each moment fresh. Prepared. Fully there. This is not natural. This is not something Ohtani simply woke up one day possessing. This is something he has built, deliberately and consistently, since his teenage years in Hanamaki. His mandala chart, the famous goal-setting system he created at 16, contained mental discipline goals alongside physical ones. The commitment to full presence in each moment was not an accident of personality. It was a cultivated skill, developed with the same intentionality he applied to every other dimension of his game. When Freeman heard that this was Ohtani's perspective on his situation, something clicked. The impact of that one word became visible almost immediately in how Freeman talked about his preparation. Those who have followed Freeman's career closely noticed a subtle but significant shift in the way he described his approach in spring training interviews. The language changed. The focus narrowed. Where previous seasons might have produced broad statements about goals and expectations, this year Freeman kept returning to the same theme, in different forms, in almost every conversation. One game at a time. One at-bat at a time. One pitch at a time. This is not new language in baseball. Every player says some version of this. But with Freeman, the shift felt less like a talking point and more like something he was actually living. Something that had genuinely reorganized the way he was moving through each day of preparation. Former teammates who spoke to him during spring training noted that he seemed different. Not more intense, Freeman has always been intensely competitive. Different in a quieter way. More settled. More grounded in the immediate moment rather than in the larger narrative of the season stretching out ahead of him. One word had done that. One word, passed through a conversation that Freeman never expected to happen, between a manager who recognized what his player needed and a teammate who had built his entire career on the philosophy that word represented. To understand why this consultation happened the way it did, it helps to understand the relationship that has developed between Ohtani and Freeman inside the Dodgers clubhouse. They are, on the surface, very different personalities. Freeman is openly warm, famously gregarious, deeply embedded in the social fabric of every clubhouse he has been part of. He is the kind of player that teammates gravitate toward, someone whose presence lifts the energy of a room, whose humor and genuine affection for the people around him creates the kind of atmosphere that winning teams are built on. Ohtani is quieter, more interior. Someone who connects deeply with the people he trusts but moves through public spaces with a calm self-containment that can read as reserved to those who don't know him well. And yet the bond between them is genuine and visible to everyone in that clubhouse. Former Dodgers staff members have described moments where Freeman and Ohtani would sit together in the dugout during long innings, not necessarily talking constantly, but present with each other in a way that communicated real mutual respect. Freeman has spoken publicly about his admiration for Ohtani, not just for what he does on the field but for who he is off it. And Ohtani, for his part, has shown the kind of attention to Freeman that he shows to people he genuinely values. The remembering of details. The specific, personal acknowledgement that goes beyond surface-level teammate courtesy. So when Roberts decided to consult Ohtani about Freeman, he was not reaching across a gap. He was tapping into a connection that already existed, a relationship built on genuine mutual respect between two of the greatest hitters in the sport. There is another layer to this story that deserves attention. Dave Roberts made a choice. A deliberate, considered choice to seek Ohtani's perspective on a teammate's preparation rather than relying solely on his own coaching staff. This is not standard practice for a major league manager. The chain of influence in professional baseball flows in specific, well-established directions. Managers consult coaches. Coaches work with players. Players receive instruction from above. The idea of a manager going to a player, even a superstar player, and saying, essentially, "What do you think this teammate of yours needs?" is a significant departure from that standard model. It reflects something important about how Roberts has come to understand Ohtani's value to the Dodgers organization. Not just as a performer. Not just as a run producer. But as a source of genuine insight into what excellence looks like and what it requires. Roberts has watched Ohtani up close for over a year now. He has seen the preparation. He has seen the daily standard. He has seen the results that standard produces. And somewhere in that observation, he arrived at a conviction that Ohtani's perspective on preparation, specifically, on the mental and habitual foundations of sustained high performance, was worth consulting when a player of Freeman's caliber was looking to sharpen his approach. That is an extraordinary level of trust to extend to a player. And the fact that it produced a result, that Freeman took that one word and built something real from it, validated Roberts' instinct completely. Word travels fast inside a major league clubhouse. And when the story of Roberts consulting Ohtani about Freeman's preparation began to circulate among the players, the reaction was notable. Not surprise, exactly. More like recognition. Because the players inside that clubhouse have all seen, in their own ways, the quiet influence Ohtani carries. They have all had moments, some small, some significant, where something Ohtani said or did or simply embodied shifted something in how they were thinking. He does not lecture. He does not hold court. He does not position himself as a teacher or a leader in any formal sense. He simply operates at a standard that is impossible to ignore. And that standard, by its mere existence, asks a question of everyone around it. What is your standard? Freeman heard that question through one word. Through a consultation he never expected. Through a manager wise enough to recognize that the greatest resource in his clubhouse was not just Ohtani's arm or Ohtani's bat, but Ohtani's mind and the philosophy that mind had built over a lifetime of deliberate preparation. Freddie Freeman has played over 1,500 major league games. He has faced the best pitchers alive. He has performed in playoff series where every at-bat carries the weight of a season. He has won the most important games in baseball and delivered some of the most memorable moments in Dodgers history. And yet one word, passed through an unexpected conversation, delivered by a teammate who lives that word every single day, changed his season preparation. Present. That is what Shohei Ohtani gave Freddie Freeman. Not a hitting tip. Not a mechanical adjustment. Not a data breakdown. One word that reframed everything. And that is what makes Ohtani genuinely different from every other player in the sport right now. Not the $700 million contract. Not the pitching records or the home run totals or the MVP awards. It is the fact that his influence extends beyond his own performance. That a manager as experienced and thoughtful as Dave Roberts looks at his roster and thinks, when I need to help one of my best players unlock something, I should talk to Shohei. That his teammates hear one word from him and feel something shift. That the standard he carries every single day quietly raises the standard of everyone around him, not through speeches, not through grand gestures, but through the simple, undeniable power of a life lived with complete intentionality. Freeman said he never thought Roberts would consult Ohtani. But those of us who have been paying attention, truly paying attention, are not surprised at all. Because this is what Shohei Ohtani does. He shows up. He prepares. He performs. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, in a quiet conversation that nobody expected, through a single word that landed exactly right, he makes the people around him better too. One word. One season. One standard. That is Shohei Ohtani.